It is not enough to hate the president. It is not enough to hate parliament. You can call them MPs. You can call them crooks. You can call the president Gidinji Mchinjaji. You can call him Kasongo. But it's not enough to hate these people. If you hate them, you have a reason why you hate them. Maybe it's corruption, or maybe it's incompetence, or maybe it is insensitivity to human life. You have your reason. But now, if you hate them enough, when will you register as a voter? Because these people, they don't put themselves in power. We put them in power through our vote. So when are you registering as a voter to vote against them? Secondly, what if they are running against fellow crooks? What if the popular candidates in your constituency for member of parliament is Crook A versus Crook B? What if the one running for governor is Muizi A versus Muizi B? What if the ones running for president are 2 crooks or 3 crooks? Have you raised leaders from amongst yourselves, leaders of integrity, leaders who are incorruptible, who then can hold these positions of governance? Remember, many revolutions have happened in many countries. A few weeks ago, there was a revolution in Madagascar. They removed the president, Rogelina, but now the military has taken over. We're waiting to see what the military will do with the country. In Algeria, they removed an 80-year-old president and replaced with a 70-year-old president who's replaced with another 70-something-old president, and they all have done nothing. And this was a revolution that removed the president. In Sudan, there was a revolution in 2019. Algeria was also 2019. In Sudan, they removed the president Omar al-Bashir, who had held power for more than 30 years. They replaced with a military leader. Today, more than 150,000 people have died in Sudan. That is more than 100 times the people died in post-election violence in Kenya. It means it's not even enough to remove a president. Even if we successfully march to State House and remove the president, it's still not enough, because a bigger crook than the president you had can occupy a position of governance. What then is the solution, fellow youth? It is, number 1, register as a voter. Number 2, organize yourselves to run for political office. Raise from among yourselves leaders of integrity, of the kind of values that you want to see in the society. And you should remember that there is advantage with youth, there is energy and strength. I am not against old leaders, but old people think differently. The older you get, the more a realist you become. The younger you are, the bigger of a dreamer you are. I, as a young person, and other young leaders, we can dream of Kenya being Singapore, and dreams build great things. But an older person will say, this is how they've been done in the 90s, vitu zimekuanga hivi tangu the 80s wakati wa Moi. Let us do the practical things. So older leaders are good at either maintaining the status quo or making it worse. But younger leaders are dreamers. And dreams build things that are beyond imagination. You need to start believing in yourselves as young people, that you can lead, that you can be the members of parliament. I am even opposed to the laws that make it difficult for somebody to achieve something at a young age. I went to university to study law as a degree. I hoped to either be a great judge or a great lawyer. But I discovered while in the university how difficult actually it was to be that at a young age. The legal profession was actually controlled by age. That to be a senior counsel, you had to have a practice for several years, even if you are more knowledgeable than some senior counsels. That to be a high court judge, you had to have 10 years experience practicing law. So you can imagine going to university for 4 years, 18 months spent at the Kenya School of Law, that's almost 2 years. Then again, you do your pupillage. Then now you start practicing, and you have to practice for 15 years before you go to the Superior Court or before you can be an Attorney General. What is wrong with being an Attorney General at the age of 30 or even 32. I know many young people who are very competent, who can do exceptional work, but those who are drafting the law made sure that they put a restriction on age. Luckily, they didn't put a restriction on the age of the president. In the previous constitution, you needed to be 35 years for you to be president. In the current constitution, you only need to be 18 years and above and have a degree. Young people in the Republic of Kenya, you need to believe that you can be the entrepreneurs, the drivers of the economy. You can be CEOs of company. You can be commanders of the army. You can be commissioners of police. You can be the top lawyers, the top engineers, the top architects. You can be the top artists. You need to believe it. You need to believe you can be the top chefs. You can be the top people doing great fashion. You need to believe it. Because if you don't believe it, you won't do it. You won't do what you don't believe in. Therefore, back to my topic about changing our country. You need to believe that you can be leaders. You need to step out and run for positions of governance. Because if you don't run, who's going to run? The same crooks will run, and you will have to choose between crook A and crook B. Therefore, you have to come out and run. And you need to stop pulling down those who have given themselves to run. Stop pulling them down. Stop ridiculing them. Stop trolling them. Support them with everything you have. Cover their weaknesses the way you cover your father's nakedness. Strengthen those weaknesses in private and grow these leaders to be the people you want to occupy power. Finally, anytime I make a video, you say, wewe huwezi maliza video bila kutuambia mambo ya pesa, huwezi ongea kitu bila kutaja mchango. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you this and I'll tell it to you again. Money rules the world. Now, there are three things that people have in this world: money, time, and energy. When you are young, you have time, you have energy, but you don't have money. When you are middle-aged, you have energy, you have a little money, but you don't have time because you're busy. When you're old, you have time, you have money, but you don't have energy. Now, why don't we use what we have? Okay, we may not have the money, but the little that we need to move around the country, we can contribute. Why don't we then use energy and time? Because we have energy and we have time. It's not enough to insult these leaders on social media. It's not enough to ridicule them and post pictures about them and comment badly under their posts. No, the people who vote for them are in the village. We've never ever stepped out of Nairobi. Mbona tujatengeneza tuchama tu watu kumi from your workplace, from your school, from your university? We go down to the village and do civic education, because changing this country is going to begin with education. People down at the village, they don't think like us. Not many. There are who think like us, but they are not the majority. The majority don't think like us. And you should know this. We who live in cities and towns, we struggle to put food on the table. That is why we are very serious when we vote. That is why when we go to the ballot, we vote a bit more seriously than people in the village. People are in the village, they don't struggle as much as we struggle to put food on the table. Because it's a bit easier. Leo unaweza kula kwa auntie, kesho ukule kwa grandma, kesho ukule kwa nani. Life in the village is easier. That is why people find the comfort to make those foolish choices. We need to do that civic education. I'm praying for you to find it in yourself, to gather and master the energy that we need as young people to transform this country. Tusije kuwa kichekeleo cha century. Let us not be a laughing stock of a century.